Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, history repeats as we take a time capsule or a time machine back to 2015 and we do it all over again. So guys, I bring you this: how presidency reacted as Buhari reportedly extends return to Nigeria. So as you are aware, Buhari is on his fabled vacation to the United Kingdom, which is a repeat of 2015, and here we go again. So I bring you the body of the story. President Muhammadu Buhari may not return to Nigeria on Sunday, May 5, as expected. This is reportedly due to health complications. It was gathered that the president is extending his stay on doctor's advice. Buhari had traveled to the United Kingdom on April 25. The correspondent contacted Buhari's spokesman, Femi Adesina, for his reaction Friday afternoon. The presidential aide, however, dropped the phone after the correspondent asked him for a reaction on the development. Neither did he pick up subsequent calls nor reply to text messages as at the time of this report. So, as I said, we take a time capsule or a time machine and we go back to 2015, and it's effectively history repeating itself. This is how it all started, with Lai Mohammed coming out to tell us that the president is hale and hearty, and what was then meant to be, I think that was a 10-day vacation to the UK then. They effectively then turned to a nearly 200-day stay in the UK. So now April the 5th is April the 5th, and April the 5th is just round the corner. So we wait with bated breath to see what will happen. But the correspondent that broke this story actually tried to contact Femi Adesina, and he did get hold of him, and they were having a conversation until the correspondent then put that question to Femi Adesina, and he subsequently hung up the phone and then refused to take subsequent phone calls. So that in itself speaks volume. So now they've now had time to gather their thought, and then there's been further developments. So I'll bring you now what's happened next. So now, having now had that moment to gather their thoughts, this is now what they have come out with. It's rubbish to say Buhari won't return on May 5th presidency. So now this is them now coming out to debunk that storyline. The presidency has dismissed suggestions that President Buhari is undergoing medical treatment in the United Kingdom and may not return on May 5 as originally scheduled. The president embarked on a 10-day private visit to the United Kingdom on April 25, saying he would return to the country on May 5. The senior assistant to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, reacted on Friday when his views were sought. "It is rubbish," he said. In another separate electronic mail, Shehu said, "This story on the president's return is absolutely shameful and disgraceful. It is disgusting." However, he did not give additional information on the president's trip. Earlier, correspondents sought to know whether the president funded the trip from his own pocket or the federal government did, since it was a private visit. The correspondents did not get any response to the question, even though it was asked several times. Concerns have been raised since April 25 on why Buhari did not write the National Assembly to formally transmit power to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to act as president while he was away, in compliance with Section 145 subsection 1 and 2 of the 1999 Constitution. The law provides in Section 145 and 2, whenever the president is proceeding on vacation or is otherwise unable to discharge the functions of his office, he shall transmit a written declaration to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives to that effect. And until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, the Vice President shall perform the functions of the President as acting President. But the presidency defended him, saying so long as he would not stay in London for 21 days or more, no constitutional breach had taken place yet. Shehu insisted that it was not necessary for Buhari to write the National Assembly. He said, "No, it is not necessary. The president can exercise authority from wherever he is, as is currently doing. This is a relatively short absence. If you check section 1451 subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution, you will see that the law is only infringed when the absence extends to 21 days. So now that is their defense. So now this is a very intriguing position that we have here. First, we have the situation of a repeat of 2015, and this is pretty much verbatim, word for word, the plot line. The only missing actor now is Lai Mohammed, because Lai Mohammed was the main actor for the 2015 episode of this particular storyline, when they first auditioned this, when they first premiered rather this storyline. It was Lai Mohammed that led it, but it looks as though it's now Femi Adesina and Garba Shehu that are leading it now. So the story goes, and this is how it started in 2015. The president went off to the UK. I was on a private visit, they said, and the questions then are the questions now. The first set of questions were, who is paying for this visit? Because if he's on a private visit, then obviously he has to pay for that visit as a private citizen, because he is not there as a representative of the Nigerian state. And if he's not there as a representative of the Nigerian state, and if he's there in this capacity as a private citizen, then there's no reason why the Nigerian state should have to fund his private visit. But then in 2015, when he went on this trip, he actually used the Nigerian fleet, the Air Force One of the Nigerian fleet, which is the Air Force One of the Nigerian, the equivalent anyway, the presidential jet. He used the presidential jet to go to the United Kingdom in 2015 when he went on this supposed private visit. And the thing is, that presidential jet was then parked in the United Kingdom for the duration of his visit, which was nearly 200 days then. So we all recall the scandal that went around when everybody was protesting that how can he be on a private visit, one who's paying for that visit, and if he's on a medical treatment, who's paying for that medical treatment. And fair enough though, if the president is sick, I think the country should pay for that. But that question was asked, but because they were not willing to admit that he was having treatment, then they could not then answer that question, who was paying for it. So we had that whole round of saga, and it all started off with the president going off on a 10-day visit, on a 10-day private visit to the United Kingdom. So there were speculations that the president was extremely ill, and Lai Mohammed was telling us that he was hale and hearty, until Buhari himself came back and told us that he was the illest that he's ever been, that's the sickest that he has ever been. So that was round one, and this is now round two. Okay, so it's due back on the 5th, which is tomorrow. So then we'll wait till tomorrow to see the president come back and assume his duties. So that is what we would like to see. And if he comes back and assume his duties, then fair enough, then he can go to court and have his day with Atiku Abubakar, and then we would know who the president of Nigeria is. We will see then what he has to say in court, and what his partner Professor Yakubu has to say in court, and then all that can play out. But now he's in London at the moment on a private visit. Now anybody can go on a private visit. I'm not saying that he's not entitled to a holiday, especially a man of his age, in his 80s. I'm not saying he's not entitled to a holiday, but really we have been there before. We have been there rather before. We have been here rather before, and it smells of the same. So now the storyline again. Now this is the first opening salvos of this round of is he coming back, is he not coming back? But fortunately the opening salvo is now late into the game, so we only now have one day to conjure with. So he now has till tomorrow to present himself within the Nigerian shores to say that he's back to take on his position as the president, supposedly, because they are telling us that he is the president, even though a lot of people are querying if he actually did win that election, because there's a big query over that election. But to all intents and purposes, this is the declaration that Professor Yakubu has made. So this is what we're having to work with at the moment. So if he does have that declaration, then we have the expectation that he takes on the role fully and robustly, and we expect him to come now in full spirit with the spring in his feet, and to then then tell us the course or direction that he's intending to take the country with all of the insecurities and the lack of money within the system, etc. So he now needs to come back now to describe the solution that he's professing to the Nigerian problem, because he's now had a good 4 years to study it. But is he coming back is the question. That's the first question. He is coming back, but is he coming back on the 5th as has been promised? So now we only have 1 day now to wait. So we wait for that 1 day, and we'll be monitoring for the presidential jet. We'll be keeping our eyes on the news and watching the television feeds to see that he's landed and to see the announcement and to see him being welcome, and then we'll close that there. But then the 5th is the 5th, and the 5th is not the 6th, or the 5th is not an extra few days. So the 5th is the 5th, and the 5th is when we're expecting him back. So till the 5th, we leave it there. So we'll carry on this conversation though in the comment section to see what your speculations or what your thoughts are. So I'll leave this here till the 5th as I continue to monitor. You monitor with me as well to let us know when the president comes back, and then you let us know that in the comment section. So we leave it here. Carry it on in the comment section, but here I say peace.